My name is Deborah. I'm coming to you from Belgium at night again. I love to knit, crochet, sew, and I just love to do everything related to fiber arts. And today I am inviting you to my bedroom. No, we're sitting on my bed because I kind of wanted to do a little knit and chat. So get something to drink or get your whip so you can work on it. I am working on the Sophie scarf. First of all, I just want to say this is going to be a very casual video. I'm going to give some of my opinions here and there. I wanted to film first. I wanted to film something else. I actually wanted to film me filming my yarn stash and how I organize it, because I have a really cool way on how I want to organize it, and I started it, but this week was it was not a week, which sometimes it can happen. So I just decided that I wanted to do something low-key where we can just sit together, have a little one-to-one mini online knitting club, and I can talk about the different things I've been seeing online. Mind you, this is just my opinion. I'm just a girl. I'm just a girl on the internet. This is not serious. You don't need to write, like, if I say something and you don't agree with it, you could just write your comment, but always be respectful. Because not only I will see it, but my parents will also see it. And because yes, they read every comment. So if you have an opposing opinion, you can just give your opinion respectfully in the comments. That's always welcome, but just nothing crazy. I'm just again, I'm just a girl. But yeah, so I'm working on Sophie scarf. It's going pretty well. I've only made one little mistake, and yeah, I'm not really thinking about it. It's pretty easy. And I just wanted to use this as a reset project because I cranked. The last project I was working on, I had to finish it as quickly as possible. But the next video will probably be a knitting podcast, so I'll explain everything that happened, and I will go more into detail also about this project and everything project specific related. But I kind of wanted, I need to start knitting. I'm just like, I'm holding this, I'm not knitting. Also, I just wanted to reiterate here as well. I put out a Google Doc for people who are interested in joining the knitting club. My goal is to have our first meetup in March. So if you sign up, I can send you an email with all the information. I haven't sent an email out yet, so if you're watching this, no worry. Nothing has been sent out yet, but definitely put in, and then you can put in your suggestions also if you fill in the form. So definitely fill in the form. Okay, what I actually wanted to do now is react to some hot takes of knitters on TikTok, because it's always so much fun to hear you guys' opinion. And definitely, if you hear me read out an hot take and you have another opinion, put it in the comments. I love to listen to people's opinions. So we're gonna see what TikTok gives us, and I'm gonna react to it.
But starting off with, I think the Italian bind off is worth the time. But if and when the pattern calls for it, I'm gonna take the time to do it. I think it looks good.
Obviously, you guys know my history with the Italian bind off. We are not friends, but I want to learn it, obviously. And thank you guys so much for answering my question, because it made a lot of sense that I was entering on the wrong side. Yeah, that was on me. I did unravel that project, and I also I transformed my yarn balls into cakes, so it's easier to work with, but I'll give it another shot. I will. So I don't have an answer to that. I guess, I mean, if and when I'll eventually be able to have a good Italian bind off, I'll do it. I'll do my best. I'll be able to do it, but right now I'm not good at it. But you guys help me, so I'll figure it out. I'll figure it out.
Look of bulky weight knits. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I probably will never knit something with bulky weight. I just don't like it. Like, I just don't think it's for me. It's just not for me. And part of that leads into my next thing, which is I want my knits to look store-bought.
She says this as I'm wearing a bulky weight sweater. Yeah, but I get it. I get that opinion. I get that people do not want to wear sweaters that are knit in a bulky weight. I don't necessarily want my sweaters to look store-bought. How can I say that? I think I want the quality of the sweaters to be store-bought, but I don't want it to look too basic in a way. I like a little special design. I like something about it to be like, you know? You're like, that's a little different. But like I'm saying it now, I've just knitted for 1 year and I've only made two sweaters. This also counts, but I think I'm gonna unravel it and do a better job because this is way too loose. I like to wear it now because it's just chill, but it's way too loose. And the suggested needle for this is Julia yarn. Well, of course it's Julia yarn. It's 7 to 8 millimeter, which is wrong. Zeman, it's wrong. Okay? You should knit this with 6 to 5 millimeters. It gives you a beautiful tension. That's what I used for my bonnet, my clamshell bonnet, and that looks amazing. It's dense, the fabric is dense, it's beautiful, and I only want to go up to 6 millimeters, honestly, what I'm knitting, which honestly isn't bulky weight. So maybe she's right. I'm agreeing with her. But as in the store bought, I think, and that's my personal opinion, I will probably knit some sweaters that look store bought in the future, just because I also want basic sweaters. But it's a little boring. It's a little boring. Like when I was knitting my red sweater, thank the Lord I crop everything because it is a little boring. Like it's the same color, you're not really doing a whole lot, you're just knitting stockinette. When I'm knitting it, I'm like, okay, let's get. You see, like this, at least I'm changing colors every now and then, so something is happening. But if it's just all of her stockinette one color, which it's not what she said, but that's what pops in my head when she says, "I want my sweaters to look store bought." I'm like, oh, so you want them to be boring? But of course, that's not what she means. But to me, it's like I want it to look like funky a little bit. That's so fun. Having a funky sweater is fun. So that's why it's also fun to knit. It's fun to use your brain. Yeah. So maybe I'm agreeing with her, but I'm disagreeing because my brain is making me feel like she said that the sweater I'm wearing is ugly and that I knit crazy pieces. Then that's not what she said. So basically, I agree with her, maybe? I guess I do. I don't know. There are a few things like when I go around and I go see my friends, and they ask me, "Oh, what are you working on?" I'm like, "Oh, I'm sure this is what I'm working on. It's so cool. Yeah, I wear my knits all the time." You're like, "This isn't knitted by you." It's like, "Yeah, I made it." They're like, "Oh," and I'm like, "Yes, yes, I made it. I know." Wow, insane. So I want the best of both worlds. I want to knit funky stuff and then people being like, you made that? You know? Because now people expect me to make everything I wear. Like yesterday, I was kind of clogged because people are asking me, "Oh, so you made something?" I was not wearing anything. I hadn't made anything I was wearing, and I kind of felt like, "Oof, that's why am I walking around and nothing that I have on is handmade? That's embarrassing." That's what happens when you know how to sew and knit and crochet. People think you're only wearing things you can make. So
hello, these are my knitting hot takes. Number one, dpns are superior for small projects. Socks and hats are meant to be made on dpns. It's just better. It's better than magic loop. It's better than tiny circular needles. I hate both of those things.
I'm going over that side of things because I'm working on the sock that I'm going to unravel. I showed it on my first knitting podcast, I think. I'm gonna unravel because it's so annoying to work on it on baby needles. I think I just have to learn how to use DPNs because even Magic Loop, honestly, for my hand warmer, I don't think that's the right name for that. Future Deborah will find the name of what I'm talking about, but for them, I use Magic Loop, and that was also getting on my nerves, honestly. So I think I'm gonna have to go on to the DPN train. I have DPNs that are 8 millimeters. Never using that. But I'm gonna learn how to use them, and it's probably not hard because every time I think something is hard, except to Italian bind off is kicking my butt, but except like putting that to the side, I should definitely learn how to knit with DPNs. Don't get me wrong, I like knitting in and around, but just for a small project, she's right. DPNs are superior. I agree.
I am always screaming from the rooftops, and if you see me in somebody's comments, I'm probably saying this, is that steeking is not scary. It's actually really cool and really exciting and really fun. So I think everyone should do it. Do your preparation, watch some tutorials, learn all about it, but steek some stuff in 2025.
That's actually a goal of mine. In 2025, I really want to steek, and I'm gonna steek because I'm working on the Nordic mix sweater, and you need to steek for the armhole, so that's exciting. But I also want to make a cardigan, and I know I'm not gonna. I already last year started a cardigan where I worked in the round, and it was a raglan cardigan, and it was grinding my gears. No, it was annoying me, so I unraveled it, and now I want to make a cardigan again, obviously, but I think by steeking it, it's gonna be better. The only thing sometimes when I look at steeked projects is you can see they were made in the round. And sometimes I'm like, it falls a bit weird. So I'm just gonna look for a pattern to me that falls a little straighter and that doesn't look like this, but maybe it's inevitable. Yeah, I'm gonna have to find a pattern where I'm like, okay, this makes sense, and I've seen pictures of different people working on it, and I don't think it falls weird, so I can do it. I don't know if people know what I'm talking about, maybe in the comments, but I sometimes feel like you can see, but maybe it's inevitable. I'm just gonna say it, and you guys in the comments who are way more experienced than me can tell me if that's just inevitable, but it looks like it looks like you can see it used to be in the round. And I want to steek a cardigan where you cannot see that. So if you understand what I'm talking about, maybe I can put on some pictures without flaming anyone. It's just maybe the design, and I can find. This is where I can see like this used to be in the round and someone steeked it, and this used to be in the round and someone steeked it, but you can't really see it. I hope I can find examples of this, but I just don't want that effect. I don't want it to look like, oh, this used to be in a round and you just cut it open and you steeked it. So yeah.
Someone who's been knitting, like hand knitting for over 20 years, using one of these still counts as knitting. Okay, some people are getting all uppity about those who are using knitting machines, saying that's not real knitting. You're making a knit fabric out of a continuous length of yarn that is done in loops. This is knitting. Is it the same as hand knitting? No, there's very big differences between the two and how the yarn is manipulated and what you're capable of doing with a machine or with knitting needles. They're both knitting though. So seeing people be all snooty because you're using a machine to knit, especially if you're someone with mobility issues that can't hold the knitting needles, but you can crank a handle. Y'all need to stop, okay?
Okay. I have an interesting opinion. Yeah. This to me, I love to compare two things that have nothing to do with each other, but I still want to link together. It's it's like people who used to play Guitar Hero and then decided to pick up a guitar because they had so much fun using the fake one. That's what using a Sentro did for me. I learned how to crochet, then I bought a Sentro, and by understanding what knit stitches look like by using a Sentro, I think that made it easier for me to learn how to knit. It is, she's right, like it is knitting, it's just different. Obviously, it's not hand knitting. But I don't, are people out there claiming they are hand knitting when they're using a Sentro? Are people doing that? I don't think so. Maybe on another side of somebody else's side of the internet, but I don't think that's what's happening. So I agree with her. Yeah, it's knitting. It's just a different type of knitting. It's just machine knitting, specifically Sentro knitting, I guess. But yeah, I wouldn't. Oh no, I didn't move. Oh, I did. I was scared. Oh, I should have increased. Oh, I'm increasing now. Okay. Um, yeah, I agree with her that this is definitely knitting. I don't know who on TikTok is getting angry about that. That's knitting. I don't know. I don't have another opinion on that. I think I agree with her, so.
And it's that you can make whatever argument you want either way for or against gauge swatching. I personally almost never do it. But the hater part, the pet peeve comes in when people make posts that are like, this is why you need to gauge swatch. I didn't gauge swatch and look, now my sleeves are 4 feet long. Because what do you mean that you knitted not one, but two 4-foot long sleeves and at no time at no point during any time in that process did it begin to occur to you that no human being has 4-foot long arms? Like, y'all know you can just stop the sleeves when you're ready to be done, right? Like, you can try it on your body and then you can just stop.
Yeah, that's really funny to me. For me, I will gauge swatch because I've had too many experiences. Yeah, two, literally two experiences where I didn't, and I was like, oof, no. I like to design sweaters for myself, so just to see the pattern, like to see what kind of fabric I'm gonna create by using a different needle size with the yarn I have, and just using a different needle, like a metal or a wooden needle, and see what kind of fabric that creates, just gives me a better view on what it's going to turn out. And also, sometimes you block something and it looks huge, especially if you're using superwash merino, which I didn't know when I made my boyfriend sweater, where I didn't make a swatch and it turned out huge. So I will be of the swatch community. If you don't want to, like, I don't, it's not a versus. I do get what she's saying. Like, if you have two extremely long arms, like what happened, but that definitely happens when after you block it. So I think this happened to someone who they probably, I hope, they tried it on while knitting and then they blocked it and then they were like, oh, this is huge. So especially if you use superwash merino, learn from me. If you use superwash merino, make a swatch, block the swatch, and then you can see how big it gets before you make big mistakes. Because I worked like 2 whole weeks, like 2 weeks, I wasn't doing anything else but knitting on that sweater, and now it's way too big. So that's nice. But I get why you would be like, how come, how does that happen? But it happens. If you don't know that superwash merino expands like an insane amount, yeah.
One more knitting hot take. It's just the one. There's no greater turnoff to me for knitting a knitting pattern than everyone else knitting it. Porcelain sweater, halibut sweater, I may have liked them on their own, but once everybody starts making them, I just don't want to anymore. You will find me crawling through the dustiest corners of Ravelry to find patterns that I think are unique or different or other people haven't knit. And I'm not saying I won't knit a sweater that other people have made. Like, I just knit a Sophie scarf because I was influenced to do so, and it was a great gift. It's a good gift knit. But once everyone starts making the same thing, this eyebrow goes all the way up. Is it this eyebrow? That one. I just become skeptical, you know? Like, I don't want to wear the same thing as everyone else. I want to be unique.
I understand that. I do. I really, really do. I think I have more of because there's so many options when you're knitting, you can definitely just use a combination that a lot of people don't choose to make that sweater, or not use the yarn colors that the designer used to make their sweater, because usually a lot of people, like, they see the color combination, they're like, oh, I want the exact same, so I'm gonna do the exact same. You can still totally make your own version of it, but I understand it's like trends. Maybe if you see a bunch of people wearing the same trends, you're like, oh wait, maybe I will not also buy leopard print pants. No shade to the leopard print pants wearing community, of course. But I understand. But I think other people have more like, oh my god, when you see the sweater and you would recognize it in the wild, you would know, like, this person hand knitted it. And it's like fun to be able to recognize someone from your community just because you know this sweater is like popular in that community. It's sort of something fun about knowing that also. I love when I'm looking around and I see someone has a crocheted scarf. I'm like, they made it, or somebody in their life that loves them made it. So I know they handmade it. That's really cool. It feels like a little inside. Not a joke, but like something only the people who know can see and recognize. But I get that you could have that feeling. I don't agree with it, but I understand that you could be like, you know what, this was gonna be a knit and chat. It's turning into me reacting to TikTok's hot takes. We're just vibing. We're just chilling together, anyways. Also, definitely in the comments, tell me what you're working on. If you are working on something cool, I will steal your idea. I will also work on that pattern. You guys influence me. You caught me. You do. If I see someone's working on something cool, I will literally throw away what I'm currently working on and I will make it. I'm not a monogamous knitter at all.
I see a lot of people talk about the beef between crocheters and knitters.
Oh,
I've seen a lot of comments about it in videos about how there shouldn't be this beef. But I haven't seen the problem. I haven't seen the beef. I have never seen a mean comment from a crocheter to a knitter, or a knitter to a crocheter. Am I on the wrong side of TikTok? Is there drama somewhere? Because all I hear about is people talking about the drama. I'm not seeing the drama. And
I 110% agree with this. I agree with this to my core. I've had multiple discussions with myself about this matter because I have nobody else to talk about this in my life. But I, to my core, believe that the beef between crochet and knitting is a lie invented by big yarn, big, I don't know who is responsible for this lie, but it doesn't exist. I think it exists to create some discourse, but I don't believe in my heart of hearts that someone really has an issue with someone crocheting or knitting. Usually people do both. So, not even usually, but usually people have dabbled into both a little bit. You might be better in one or the other, but usually, like, crocheters knit and knitters crochet. People start out crocheting, get into knitting, start knitting, get into crocheting. Like, people, it's, I don't believe it's real. We're all playing with yarn, literally creating fabric, really cool. We're making really cool stuff. It's not real. I don't believe it's real, so I agree with that statement. I don't believe it's real at all. I really don't. I'm so happy I could finally, like, release this, say this, because I don't believe that at all.
I do not like crochet garments. And I will say that as somebody who started by crocheting. Like, I got into fiber arts because of crochet. I love to crochet. And I started knitting because I did not want to wear crochet garments. Like, I think that the crochet garments, the fabric that crochet makes is too thick. And I really like a more drapey fabric.
I get that. I used to have that opinion as well, as also someone who got into the fiber arts community with crochet. Not me showing knitting needles with crochet. No, with crocheting. I used to be like, oh, it's too thick of a fabric. that it creates. But I really think, and she corrects herself, if you use smaller needles, not even just smaller needles, but you use a different fabric. And also, there are so many ways to crochet. I think people have like half double crochet, single crochet, like in their mind when they're talking about crochet. But crochet is so versatile. You can Tunisian crochet, you can go into the front and the back loop, which creates a really pretty ribbing effect. Like there are so many different ways to crochet that do look good in that does look good in garments. Because even filet crochet, like I'm obsessed with looking at filet crochet, also looks beautiful as a garment. So I don't agree with it anymore. I used to think that as well because the easier crochet patterns are these really thick structured patterns. But right now, when I think about it and the options you have and the cool different textures you can create, I don't agree with it anymore. And I'm surprising myself with that take, but I wouldn't say it's ignorance. It's just you have a very specific view maybe of what crochet garments look like. And they can be structured. That's why they look cool as pants to me, but there's so many different ways you can crochet and that can look good and cool in garments. Even using a bigger hook to create a drapier garment if you use a smaller yarn. And it's all, yeah, it can look really pretty and really cool, and you really shouldn't underestimate crochet as something to make your garments out of. Also really good for bikinis. I'm gonna look for my last hot take.
Being a knitter doesn't make you a knitwear designer. You can like knitting and not need to be a designer. Feels like everybody out here knits their first sweater and then starts their online account and then they're releasing a knitwear design. And that's the reason we have so much poor quality, watered down, bad knitting patterns floating around, is because people are cute, learn how to knit, and decide they're a designer. Social media has ruined the quality of knitting patterns because there's such an emphasis on aesthetics and sweaters that look cute or sweaters that look like you could have bought them at the store, that there is no pressure on designers to make patterns that are easy to follow.
Okay, a great one to finish. Kind of calling me out, I guess, because I just started and I'm already working on a design myself. I totally understand her take. If it's a dig at me, she did call me cute, so is it a dig if she's calling me cute? No, seriously. Totally understand though. Totally understand if you've been in this knitting space for a long time and you see people coming up and suddenly they're posting and apparently it's all the same sweater. Newsflash, I'm making a vest. It's in Tarja. But that's why I want to take my time with it also, because I want to make sure it's very clear, the steps are clear. I'm also thinking about tech editing, even though I don't know how expensive it is. Oh guys, yes, in the comments, if someone happens to see this and you are a tech editor, what are kind of the rates? So I can see if it's possible. I don't know. I'm not rich. So I don't know if that's going to be possible for me to do that, to get it tech edited. Definitely want to look into that because my goal is to make the pattern as clear as possible, as inclusive as possible. Like I have a lot of sizes available. So that's why I want to take my time with the pattern. I really want to make sure like everyone can participate and feel represented. So yeah, I want to just make sure that it's done the right way, and that's why I'm taking my time, for real, taking my time with it. And I understand that if you're used to a certain quality of patterns and you're seeing in the recent years, because knitting and crocheting and just fiber arts in general, it's having a boost. Like it's getting really, really popular. Everybody's starting their Instagram page, TikTok, their YouTube, and talking about their journeys, and it's really interesting. But if they're also all becoming designers and not really thinking about the details that are important to be able to have a good experience knitting something, I understand that you get fed up and are like, you guys are all making the same sweater and same mistakes are popping up. Yeah, I understand. I don't agree. I wouldn't say I don't agree. I don't disagree because probably I'm biased because I just started knitting and I want to release any pattern. But I want to be a designer, and I can't learn this without making patterns. So I have to start somewhere, and I want to try my best to make sure it's as good as possible. But that's where we're gonna end this up. It was kind of me talking about me in the beginning and also talking about reacting to some hot takes. I did a little bit of knitting. I don't know if I made a lot of progress, but I did a little bit of knitting. I hope you enjoyed spending some time with me. I had a lot of fun. Actually, this was really nice. You can find me on my Instagram at Unraveled.knit, and you can also find me on my Pinterest. That is also at Unraveled.knit. Follow me on my TikTok, guys. I'm having fun. I'm posting a lot also on my TikTok, so you can definitely also follow me on my TikTok. That's at Unraveled.studios. And yeah, the rest of my links will be in the description. I'll also post the Google Doc. If you haven't seen the Google Doc, you live in Belgium, or you live close by and you want to join my knitting club, we will probably have our first meetup in March. If you want to do that, definitely also fill in the Google Doc. And remember, if you want to react to the hot takes, definitely comments are open. I want to know you guys' opinion, but stay respectful. This on this side of the internet, we give our opinions, but we are nice to each other and to me. Anyways, thank you for hanging out with me. This was really nice, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.